Welcome back. We'll continue that conversation. Maybe we'll just start off from Boluwaji's comment about the question of leadership, how that would help the situation. Because the question Alera asked had to do with now, in the short term. How can that help change things? How can the leaders in that sector, because you have issues of ethnic issues, a lot of ethnic issues. I mean, the Ijaws, the Ishekiri, they are the most superior, were the ones that are in charge, or it's all over in the southern part of the country. But how can leadership, with this project kicking off now, help?
Yeah, it's a very complicated issue in the sense that no matter how good the leadership is, if you give him a faulty structure, he will always fail. You know, so what we have right now, based on what my colleague just said, is a faulty structure, a faulty federal system, where there's so much power at the center, you know, and everybody goes cup in hand to the center.
But a leader who has a faulty structure can begin to work at reshaping or changing that structure.
Yes, if a leader is there that has integrity and is ready to listen, you know, you can be a leader of integrity, but you may not be a good listener. In the sense that what people are agitating for now is that the percentage of the budget that goes to capital expenditure should be 70%, not the 30% that is currently being spent. And it has been like that for so many years at the federal level. And you know, that's a fundamental structural issue where you have a very huge civil service, you know, where, you know, 100 people are doing the job that 10 people can do, you know. And of course people might say, okay, if you reduce the civil service, you know, by maybe 50% or 60%, what happens to those who lose their jobs? You can put in job training programs or job skill acquisition programs in place and give them funding for them to be able to, you know, do other things. You don't have to employ all everybody and bring them in the civil service. Government is not actually supposed to be creating jobs. It's supposed to be the private sector. So that's a fundamental fiscal problem, you know, that has to be addressed. Because if you have a situation where, you know, a budget is being spent on salaries alone, on special assistants, special advisors, and all those things, it's going to be a problem. So those are fundamental structural issues. And then, of course, like he rightly pointed out, we need to go back to the regional system. You know, I've written about this, you know, several times. We need to go back to the regional system, because when we used to have the regional system, the constitution in the 60s, you know, about 50% of the oil revenue, you know, had to stay with the communities. The regions involved where the oil was being produced were entitled to 50% of, you know, of the revenue. You know, so what I've always recommended is let 100% of the oil revenue or any revenue from any natural resource, let it go to the community, let it go to the region. Then let the region pay a tax to the federal government. That way you make the federal level less attractive. Right now it's attractive because people I read somewhere that some senators spent 1 billion naira to get elected and they are trying to recoup their money. I read somewhere, I don't know how true it is, there's an allegation that senators spend a lot of money to get into the Senate. And when they get there, there's pressure on them to recoup what they spent. And the reason is they feel there's a lot of money there. I mean, the salary is like huge, the bonuses are huge.
Yeah.
But when you have a part-time legislature, when you have a unicameral legislature, where the Senate is cramped, and you just have the House of Reps, then in that kind of situation, you will save a lot of money.
Yeah.
The 120 billion naira that is currently being spent on National Assembly probably will be reduced to like maybe 15 billion. You have to start from somewhere. So we have to face these issues. The problem with Nigeria is we don't like facing issues. We just like sweeping things under the carpet. We like to pray. We like to go to church and believe that somehow we'll just wake up one day and something will change. You know, it doesn't happen that way. Many of the countries in Europe are doing well economically, and in Asia. Many of them don't even believe in God. They don't believe God exists. I'm a strong believer in God. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. But at the same time, I've seen this problem with misuse of religion, where we're so religious, we don't face our issues,
yes.
We don't tackle them. So we have to tackle these issues. We can't just say one day revenue will increase to 70%
from where?
How is it going to happen if we don't tackle the issue?
Miracle.
You know, it's not going to happen. The miracle is not going to bring it about. You know, so we need to face these issues of restructuring Nigeria, go back to the regional system, reduce the civil service. That way you save a lot of revenue. That revenue you get, you put it into infrastructure. You know, investors will not come to a country where there is a problem with infrastructure. If you don't know, if you cannot move your goods. Some time ago, I was involved in a particular trading situation where it had to do with iron ore. you know. I was able to find out that in some countries, the rail system will go right from the place where the ore is being mined, and it will take it to where the market, the people are supposed to get it, you know, take it to the port. The rail line will go right from the where the iron ore is being mined. There's usually an area dedicated to that where the iron ore is being mined, and they take it right to the port from where it is shipped to different countries. But in Nigeria, how is it going to be possible if you have iron ore somewhere when there's no infrastructure to take it from where it is to the port from where you export it? So you have natural resources.
By trailers.
They take it by trailers, and that's what I was discussing with someone a few days ago. That you have, like when I studied in the US, and when I was in the US, I noticed that in many states, the oil petroleum products are usually moved by train. You can be at the rail station and you will see the train going for 30 minutes, non-stop, and you will just see these tankers on this train. And what we have in Nigeria, we have hundreds of trailers killing people on the road. And once they kill, I call them kill and go trailers. You know, they will tell you it's one big guy that owns it. You know, it belongs to one conglomerate somewhere, and that you know, and people don't have the power to employ. They don't have resources to employ, to hire lawyers to represent them. So they just die for nothing. At the end of it, there's no compensation. Even though there might be some laws on the books for compensation. Why are we allowing people to die anyhow on the road? Allowing trailers, hundreds of thousands of trailers on the road, when you could have an efficient rail system to move all these products, so that reduces the impact of the impact that they have on the roads, because they also spill some of their product on the road, and as a result, it damages the road. You have crevices and you have potholes as a result of that. But when you have a minimal number of them going on the road, that makes more sense. Then you have the thing going. You have a rail system that goes right to, you know, the areas where these things are needed. So those are some of the issues that need to be addressed. Structural issues in terms of capital expenditure, recurrent expenditure.
Let's talk about.
Before I forget this question, we're talking about development in the Niger Delta. Niger Delta, there are states in the Niger Delta. There are agencies specifically to cater to the needs of the Niger Delta. There's a ministry of the Niger Delta. There's NDCC. And the various states have their little ones, the Desopadec and the this and the that. How much work, to your mind, are they doing that is affecting the lives of the communities in those areas? Everyone seems to be looking up to the federal government.
Exactly.
The states, what are the state governors doing? What are all these agencies doing?
It's just the same way that we're talking about the revenue. Everybody is looking up to the federal government, going to Abuja to look for money every month, to do nothing else but to begin to talk about salaries, which are even owing for several months. Like you rightly said, there are agencies, I mean, of federal government and of state government, even I can even say local government, that are empowered to take care of the communities. But it goes back to the same thing. Those who run these agencies, what really is, are they there to do it in the interest of the people or in their own interest? I think that we have a lot of duplication, if not multiplicity, of agencies, and we need to begin to look at these agencies in a way that the overlap, because when you have overlap, you allow for a lot of gaps. Some agencies will just not do anything, and they can cover up because there are related agencies elsewhere. What I think they need to do is to even engage the different communities in a way that they understand what their challenges are. Every community has peculiar challenge, and if you don't understand what those challenges are, you are unable to be able to provide intervention programs for these challenges. It is not a one-all fix, a one solution fits all kind of situation. So every peculiar community has to have a peculiar solution to his or her own challenges. So in effect, I'm saying that all of these agencies being duplicated all over at the federal, at the state, and even local government level is not helping the situation. Indeed, it's compounding the challenges that we have, not only in the Niger Delta, but even in the entire country. I mean, if you look at other parts of the country as well, apart from Niger Delta, you will also find that there are agencies that are doing virtually the same thing. If you talk about the tax system, the tax regime, you have the FRS, you have all manner of agencies that are doing virtually the same. In Lagos State, I mean, you know that there are so many agencies that are doing virtually the same thing. The same thing happens all over the state. So I'm saying that we need to begin to look at what are the functions of these agencies vis-a-vis what roles they are playing in ensuring that the community is developed, and not just for them to be there to earn their income or their salary.
Talking to the, sorry, Dr. Adeyemi.